Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday morning daily refinement podcast. By podcast, I mean mastermind. We do this every single week, Monday through Friday, but on Wednesdays, it's live on YouTube. Today's topic is pro versus hobby reseller. And I just want to talk about a couple of things that I consider if you're a pro versus you are a hobby reseller. It actually has nothing to do with size. I think you could have a 100 item store, be a consummate professional, sell 30 to 50 items a month with 100 items, or you could sell as few as one item a month. I would still consider you professional if you have a certain way that you do things. Because if you hired a locksmith and they came to your house and they said, I'm going to try something new today, see if it works. I don't know how long it's going to take. Then you would not want that. You'd want a locksmith that said it's going to normally take about 45 minutes to an hour to do this. Let's get started. And this is what I'm going to go through. And locksmiths sometimes intentionally take a little bit longer because it's kind of frustrating to pay $75 to $200 for 2 minutes of work for the person coming that knows what they're doing. So for a professional, you can get your work done literally in 2 minutes. So what I want to focus on for the group in the upcoming year, the whole year, is documentation. I want to know exactly how long everything takes. And I need you guys to have something to look forward to at the end, some kind of a celebration. So today I wanted to ask people, what are you looking forward to when you're done? Do you spend time with friends? I really enjoyed the Fabulous 50s call yesterday, and people were talking about, I asked people what did they do to celebrate turning 50? And most people's answers were related to friends and family, maybe a trip, right? So if that's what people find valuable later in life or midway through life, I think maybe no one said they bought themselves a gift, which was surprising. I thought that's like you get yourself a gold watch or something. But that doesn't that no one said that. So what are you looking forward to at the end of your day? Is it a cup of tea by yourself? Is it friends and family? Do you get to cook dinner? Um, because I think reselling is a privilege. You get to choose your own schedule, call your own shots. That's not normal for a job. Lauren says in pharmacy school, they said if you didn't document it, it didn't happen. So I've now just been timing everything, and my morning routine takes about 8 minutes. Coffee takes 2 minutes. It takes 4 minutes to unload the dishes. So I can do half of it while my coffee is brewing. So now I can have not only a clean kitchen, but all the dishes are put away, ready to go straight from the beginning of the morning. And I don't know what it costs to run your dishwasher, but I want to know what it'd be like to just for me to run it every single day instead of every other day. So it's not that full. Angie, you're turning 40 this weekend. Do you have any plans, any celebrations? Do you feel different?
I I don't know if I feel different. I had a long list of things that I thought would be fun to do, but we don't have anything currently planned. Though it's Christmas, so I'm hosting and everybody's coming over to my house and we're having Swedish meatballs.
I love it. Are you a good host?
I love I love hosting. I don't know if I consider myself a good host, but it's something that I aspire to be.
Have you ever gone to an event where the host was bad?
Probably. Probably
All
block it
the
from my memory.
all the time for me. Like
Really.
don't know where to park, don't know what time it is, don't know where it is, don't know who's coming, don't know what to expect. I mean, that's like pretty common. You could be a pro host and just let people know when it is, what time, like what time of day, what to bring if they should bring anything, and what they expect to do at the event. That's a pro. I don't even go. People are like, do you want to come hang out first and figure out what to do? No. I would love to come over if you have something planned, or if you just want to hang out, that's cool too. But that it can't be, let's figure it out because that Swedish meatball sounds nice. I'll be over. That's easy.
They're really good. It's my grandmother's recipe.
Because the saying is, would you rather have pizza with a friend or tacos if you don't like pizza, or $100 meal by yourself? What do you think? Would you rather hang out with your son and have a hot dog or fancy meal by yourself?
Definitely hot dog with the kids.
That's what I mean. So I think people don't have these things to look forward to, so they don't get their work done. It just keeps dragging on forever. But if you have goals and meaningful things that you want to do, you got to get your work done as soon as possible. That's why documentation is going to be the biggest thing next year for everyone in the group. How exactly do you do your business? Then, worst case, I would like, Andrew, does your 18-year-old son help you with your business?
He does not, but my 15 and 13-year-olds do.
Okay. Wow, three of them. I love
I
it.
have four. I also have a 16-year-old who turns 17 this weekend.
That's a lot. So how do you fit it in?
Um, well, I'm training my 15-year-old and 13-year-old to be entrepreneurs and this to be their business and something that we were doing together. But we also homeschool, so there's a lot of time that we're together and working on things together jointly. That's the way our family is. So,
Is it
plus we work
scheduled?
from
How do
home.
you do homeschooling and a business? What does it look like? What's a day in the
Um,
life like? Can I ask?
yeah, sure. So I get up about sometime between 7 and 7:30, and then I through my morning routine, which takes about an hour, and that includes um, taking my vitamins, drinking my water, making my bed, like all that kind of stuff. And then I have 10 minutes that I allocate specifically. It's a reminder on my checklist to check in with my family. And that's go and talk to everyone in the house and make sure that I understand their what their main goal is for the day, what they're working on, what they're working towards, if they have everything that they need, and if they need anything from me. Um, Now, given that they're all high schoolers or graduated, my 18-year-old graduated this spring, they are very independent in their work style. Like I that's part of what we've fostered from a young age, that they are responsible for their learning. I'm responsible for providing the materials and the resources for them and the structure and the routine, but they're responsible for their work. So that's baked into our whole schedule. And our whole life pretty much. Um, like when they were like young teens, 12, 13, 14, um, and we would go out. My husband and I would go out for dinner or go out for some event or something, and we would leave them at home by themselves. We would say, you are each responsible for yourself. Nobody was put in charge. It wasn't that the oldest was responsible for the younger, or the most responsible was responsible for somebody else. Everyone was responsible for themselves. So that's carried over into absolutely everything. They all have chores. And so then after I check in with them to see if they have everything that they need and that they're set for the day, and it takes, about 10 minutes to get through talking to all four of them. Um, and I've actually started to get in the habit of messaging my son who's living out of state now. So messaging him in the morning, just making sure, checking in. Hey, how are you doing? Are you good? You need anything, etc. And then I sit down and start doing my work for the Poshmark store, which is like bookkeeping, accounting. If there's anything that needs to be repaired or cleaned or addressed, aside from things that are just um, needing to be detagged. If it just needs to be detagged, I let them handle that. Um, and so any cleaning, repairs, steaming, anything like that, I do. And then I'm ready for this call. After this call, I work my 9 to 5 job, and the kids are free to come in at any point in time. They know like what it looks like when I'm in a meeting, and they also know what constitutes an actual emergency, and they can't interrupt me.
Hmm.
Um, they are allowed to do. Um, and my coworkers know that we have a family. We all live at home. We're here together, so and nobody's ever said anything. I don't have a lot of external calls like vendor calls. It's all internal, so I don't worry about disruptions from the kids very much, especially when they're respectful and they come with something that's meaningful, then we can address that. And then after that, sometime during the day, the kids get all their schoolwork done. They attend any events, online classes that they have. They do their photography and set things up. And then after our work, one of them makes dinner, and then we eat dinner as a family. And then in the evening, I'll sit down and do like listings and putting things online. So that's my whole day.
How did you convince them to respect your boundaries and time?
Um, Probably by respecting theirs.
How do they know it's an emergency or like they're just bored and want you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they are teenagers now, so
I see.
um, they've outgrown a little bit of that. But when they were younger, um, there was a little bit of redirection, and is this what do you really need anything, or are you just bored, or do you need something to eat? Are you hungry? Did you drink some water? I actually think I had a little list of things that were usually what they actually needed first. Did you
Mm,
have some water? Did you,
got you.
calm down a little bit, breathe? Um, and then like literally if there's not blood, then it's probably not an emergency. And even if there is, they actually know a lot of first aid and can handle a lot of that themselves.
I love it. Thank you for sharing. That's so cool.
Yeah,
So that's like a lot of things you do during the day. There's everything built into there. So I think that's very inspiring. Thank you.
thank you.
Melanie, good morning. Do you want to share do you want to share in the day in the life, or do you want to talk about what you're working on? I don't usually talk to you in the mornings, but nice to see you.
There I am. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Sound great.
Okay. My weekdays are very busy. I am living with three of my grandchildren, and the oldest is autistic. And the first thing I do every morning is get up and help her with her grooming and help her get ready. And then I touch base with the other two grandchildren and make sure that they're getting breakfast and getting along the way. And then about 8 o'clock, their dad takes them to school. And at that time, I get a cup of coffee and I start my day. And usually, what I do try to do is list in the morning because I'm fresher in the morning. So I list for a little while, and then my husband, who is retired, gets up later. And then we usually go over to our storage unit and take some pictures. And I make a log. He takes the pictures because it hurts my back to do it. And then I log and make notes about each item, and then he goes ahead and takes the pictures, and then we're ready to go ahead and list the next day. Usually I try to get at least 15 to 20 things photographed at once, which gives me, right now I'm listing about 5 a day. I really want to list 10, but I'm at 5. And so then I'm able to go home, and then it's time to go to the grocery store, get ready for dinner, and help the kids with their homework, pretty much make dinner. Uh, Kids have various, like I said, homework projects, try to get them ready, let them know when it's time for bed, and get them in bed. And then that's my favorite time of the day is when the kids are finally in bed. And then I can go ahead and I have my guilty pleasure. I like to watch a little Hulu or Max once I'm in bed. I try to get to bed about 10. And then I try to have about an hour of screen time for me. And then I turn out lights about 11. And I never get enough sleep. And that's just because I like to get a good 9 hours sleep, but I normally get 6 or 7 hours sleep. But I make up for it on the weekend. And on the weekend, I do list, but it's a much more casual type of day.
What time do you usually wake up?
About 6:30. Not this morning, but normally.
So sometimes it takes you until 11 or 12 to get it all done.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But you want to be done by 9 someday.
Yes, yes, very much. I'm getting quicker at listing. I have a tendency, I don't know if other people do this too. I continually check and recheck what I do, trying to make sure that I'm not making any mistakes in my listing. I go through very methodically. I have an exact routine, and that really helps me. If I do the same thing every single time, it makes a big difference. And I am seeing that I am sometimes listing up to 7 a day, 7 or 8, which is, like I said, I want to do 10 a day. That's more my goal.
Okay. So 10 a day, 9 hours of sleep, and all of that. Do you think it's possible to get everything done and have 9 hours of sleep, or you feel like you're in a stage of life where it might just be less?
It's going to be less, except on the weekend.
Got it.
Yeah, I pretty much just do with whatever I can get during the week. Occasionally I take a nap. I hate to admit that. I'm almost 67 years old. So sometimes it's a busy life with the kids living here. And so yeah, there's a nap here and there. Maybe a couple times a week I'll lay down for about a half hour
That
in
is
the
busy.
afternoon after everything's done.
That's busy, busy. I like
Yeah,
it. Okay,
thank you.
well, yeah, because it makes me think about I would like to get about 7.5 or 8 hours of sleep also, but it
Mhm.
really is like 6 to 7 maybe
Yeah,
if the kids are good, right?
exactly. If the kids
Um,
are good.
I think
Yes.
naps are good. There's no shade on that. Matt's saying no shade on naps. I think if you can fit it in, it's really healthy.
Yeah, it really makes a difference when I do. I'm fresh and I can go ahead and get the dinner routine going, and it helps.
How long do you think the dinner routine takes?
Oh my, about an hour and a half from the time I start cooking, maybe an hour. Depends on what I'm making.
Got you.
Like
And
lasagna, an hour and a half.
I love it. Isabel says she hears having to take care of kids keeps you young.
It does. It really does. I feel like it's a pleasure. I get to do it again. I get to see them after school every day. I have two other grandchildren and they live a little ways away, about an hour and a half away. So I don't see them very much. So it's really great that I have the three I live with. And I consider it just a blessing.
So I want to share this story with you guys. This is Tootsie, or that's her nickname. But she's 81 years old and she works 2 jobs. I'm not sure if she needs the money or not, but she does 30 hours a week of janitorial at a local elementary school because she loves taking care of just being around kids. And then she works as a barbecue pit master. And she's so cool. So like if you guys can watch any media on this lady, I just can't believe she wakes up at like 3 in the morning to start the brisket. And it's just like because it takes like 14 hours to cook it. So it's like ready for dinner, but it starts at 3 in the morning. And she just got this serving others mentality, and it just keeps her young. You wouldn't expect her to be
Yeah,
81.
well, I didn't try the new one.
Cool. I love it. People are busy. Let's go with Jacob. Jacob, good morning. What are you working on? Nice to see you. I haven't chatted with before with you in the morning, have I?
You have not. Hey, nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm new here. So my morning schedule is awful usually. I try to keep something going. I think I've messed up lately by sourcing first, like getting out and going sourcing instead of listing,
Mhm.
because by the time I get home, I don't want to list. So I think sourcing or listing first should be my priority.
Okay. Do you have any kids, family obligation?
Nope,
Nope.
I'm
Okay,
free.
so you might have the hardest schedule because there's no reason for you to be done at a certain time, is there?
No.
Okay. So, do you have an idea of what you want your day to look like?
Yes. No spaces.
No
But
spaces?
yeah. Yeah,
You
because
don't,
I'm one of those people that need a schedule. Like I can make it for myself, but ever since I saw that from yesterday, I was like, yeah, I definitely needed this. I needed kind of like,
documentation?
yeah,
Okay. So you don't want any space. What do you want to fill your life with?
just work and then have enough time afterwards. So like because I'm doing this to make enough money to I recently moved back to my parents due to financial reasons after
Okay.
COVID. So, I mean, I'm back here, but I had enough money saved to do this so I didn't have to go back to a regular job. So I was like, I'm going to go full time on this.
Hmm.
So doing this was a reason to make enough money to live, but also to feel what I want to do, which is make music. So I
Mm.
want to be able to actually do this and have my fun and to be able to make music in the evening time. But lately, I've just been so obsessed with this. Like, it's hard for me to, I still work constantly, but it's hard for me to get a set thing going because I'll sporadically do it. I'll just, I'll just like take breaks and then I'll be like, all right, well, it's time to list. And I'll list three things and then I'll go back. I'm so bad at like doom scrolling. Sometimes I'll just scroll on social media. I'm like, I like throw my phone and I'm like, all right, gotta like list some more. And then I'll like sporadically do something and then relist things. And I realize I'm trying to get all this work done at once, but I'm not really getting much done because it's
Okay.
not set.
Thank you for sharing that. And I have some ideas. Okay. So yesterday during the 50s call, we had Raphael talking about creating environment. His whole life is about creating environment for people. And I was just thinking, I was saying if I want to hire someone to do eBay at my workshop in their own store. So like let's say it was you. You would come in at it depends on your schedule. Like Debbie says that there's a lot of good stuff in the thrift. So if I was trying to coach you and you wanted to work for me for your eBay store, I would say, okay, Jacob, you're getting into the store probably around 7. So you would get in around 7. Your goal would be to do customer service, shipping, photograph, list, 12 items. But I'm gonna call it 14 because you're working for me. So 14 items. Then at that now we're probably around 8:30 in the morning. You've already done all your customer service, all your shipping, all your photographing, all your listing. Everything is put away. It's 8:30 in the morning, you're done. Now
Mhm.
you would go sourcing. So we would have a route of in my area there are 200 thrift stores, but I probably and since we don't know which ones are going to be good, I would just make a route that's reverse traffic. You would head away from the city. I live in the city, so away from the city, and then you'd come back probably around noon. We would evaluate what you have, process it all. Then you would be done at 2. You would go, or you'd be done 2 or 3 o'clock. You'd go make music, do your thing, and I would like if I was running your life, I would have your music goals. Like I had a person working for me that he wanted to release, he wanted to make music and support himself through Spotify. That was his thing. He's like, I need to get enough of a thing that people can pay me and it's worth it. But then when I met him, he didn't have anything on there. I'm like, this is what you want to do, but there's nothing on Spotify. Where's the thing? He didn't
Yeah.
have any. And when he worked with me, he actually produced more music than not working for me
Yeah.
because I was like, you told me music's important to you, so we're gonna do it. And I don't know though, because it does not take the fun away from music, like giving yourself a slot of time to do it.
No, that is like I think it was a Charles Bukowski quote, and I know he's not a technically role model figure, but he did have some great quotes. He was saying the difference between a professional artist and an amateur artist is that an amateur artist waits for inspiration to come, and a professional does the work anyway, knowing that inspiration will come out of that. So there's like a grueling process to it, but it's
Yeah.
still happiness and joy at the end of the day, I think.
Yeah, I think Billie Eilish, I watched like a little documentary on her, and she said that with her brother, they heard that if you put 10,000 hours into something, it's unusual if you're not good.
Right.
So they were like kids, like, 6 to 8 years old, and like, let's just do the 10,000 hour thing. Apparently, when you're done, you're really good at it.
Yeah.
And
So
they
I've
just
heard.
did it. They just did it. And they were really successful at a young age, but they still put in pro work,
Yeah.
an
I
insane
think
amount
that.
of work. So I think that's like that's interesting. I like that. I think inspiration comes from action, honestly.
Mm,
It does. I think um motion also creates emotion. So like
ooh,
when
right
you
there.
start walking, moving, getting up, doing things, think it changes your mood and it changes your I think the mood is the inspiration part that people are talking about.
Yeah.
And your mood doesn't change when you're sitting still.
Right. It's like walking thoughts are different than sitting thoughts.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I'm in the process of setting up. I want to do this call while walking. I know lots of people use the walking treadmill during this, but I think that you remember it better.
Yeah. That'd actually be pretty cool.
Matt, good morning. You have some feedback questions?
Good morning. I just wanted to add a little bit to this about when you have all the time versus when you only have a little bit of time. The amount of authors that I saw who worked full-time jobs and only had an hour to write every day and got a book done in that hour because they had no choice but to do it in, and then eventually made the switch to being a full-time author and had all day to write and could not write the same way. It was a full-on different struggle because they didn't have the pressure of all the other stuff and having to get it done in that time. It's a really common experience. Um, so a lot of times when you have all the time, when you have all the space, when you have a blank page, when you have a blank eBay listing, and nothing like pressuring you to do it, it actually like makes it harder to sit down and just do it. That's like a real thing. The other thing I wanted to bring up was we talked about this yesterday briefly about the order, how to prioritize your day. We talked about it in the sold call. Um, and just figuring out like a lot of people are sitting on a lot of inventory but still want to go sourcing. A lot of people have death piles, a lot of people have all sorts of situations, and aren't prioritizing the listing. And I do this too, so I'm speaking from my own personal experience. So we talked a little bit about like how to prioritize, when to source, when not to source, how the sourcing is like the fun part for a lot of people. So if they weren't allowed to source anymore, they wouldn't want to even do eBay, even though they're sitting on like so much inventory in their houses. Um, and so one thing I wanted to bring up, and I did this for a short period of time, and I plan on putting it into effect after the new year, is not even having like, obviously I think you should have, like several weeks worth of draft bank just in case anything happens. But short of that, because that takes a lot of time and investment, when I had 10 in my draft bank, when I woke up in the morning and I listed my 10 straight up, like they were done from the day before. I got up, I listed the 10, and then I went about my day. It probably took 30 seconds to list all of them. And then I had the rest of the day to replace those 10. It changed everything. It took all the pressure off getting those listings up first thing in the morning. What do I need to do? What happens if I don't get these up in time? It changed all of it. And what we were saying was prioritize your listing and then go sourcing as a reward. If even if you have a death pile, if you get all your listing done and you get all your shipping done, go ahead, go source, especially if you find great stuff, right? And someone in the comments said, well, like if you do in that order, then maybe everything's picked over. And I agree with that. And that's why I'm saying, whatever your number is, mine's 10, like having those done the day before, like having just one day of listings every day, shooting those off first thing in the morning so you don't need to do your listing to get your listings up, and then spending the rest of your day doing those 10 changes everything, and it allow you to prioritize, do everything you want to do, and not have to like panic be listing, oh my God, what if I don't get these up in time? All the things that happen. So that's my advice today. You're on mute.
Thanks, Matt. I think that's a really good way to reward yourself with sourcing. I think a lot of people do it that way. So the morning 10, that's I can't do 10, 11, morning 11, because something always happens. So you got to have it a little extra. Jose, what's up?
Hey, what's up, Chris? Um, I kind of wanted to ask y'all to see if y'all, because everything I've been doing was to pay off debt. It's like the same story, but I've been finding it hard now. I don't have a death pile. I really don't have any much inventory, and I know the best thing I could do is to list more items, and I want to list more items. It's just I'm afraid to get more items because I have so much bills that I have to pay that I'm like running on negative every month. And I'm hopefully waiting to sell one of my rental properties, and then that's gonna help me pay off some debt and whatever. But I guess I just wanted to see like the one way that I could get inventory is like the whole go Facebook Marketplace for free, go curb, looking, hunting and ask friends and family. And I did that and it helped me build my store. But this year I wanted to just get good quality items, looking for that metric where it's 20 plus. And I've been doing good, but now I'm kind of in a crunch and I just wanted to see like, should I still focus on just listing one item or two, and then how could I, you know uh I guess make it worth my eBay business. I'm trying to optimize and
What are you
you
doing for other income right now?
so I'm working downtown where I live as a valet, which is only 12 bucks an hour, but it's just something to keep me busy. I want to get more hours, but my transmission went out. So I really don't have a way to go to work more. And I'm trying to look for another job, but I really don't have any other skills than e-commerce because I kind of spent all my time working in the restaurant business, my family business, the restaurant family business. And
Yep.
then the other part of my life, I only spent it looking at how to sell things online. And I've been successful, but I got so much debt. I bought real estate and I just started going spiraling down.
Okay. This is a good situation to, not a good situation for you, but a good situation to figure out how to prioritize your time. So in your scenario right now where you're running negative, that's actually pretty common. Most people are at least 1% negative. Like their paycheck to paycheck means like you're running at zero basically. So the way to get out of that is there's two ways. Either you have to work more hours, which is um, that's the solution most of the time. So like unfortunately, more being more is the reality for a lot of people. However, you need to trade up. So for you, one item a day is fine if it continues to be a great item and you're like it's selling quickly, it's a good amount of profit. But over time, you're going to either want to either list more items because it's going to be very difficult to only have one item carry you. So you're going to have to slowly increase the goal of number of items and better items. And if you're in a cash crunch, then it's tough with no wheels though, because you got to go find the stuff. So
Yeah.
I might actually switch to restaurant business. I would trade my valet job for a restaurant job because you'd make more than 12.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have those skills.
I was trying to be a waiter, but it's just, it was hard for me to get anything going. And I was kind of getting kind of desperate to just get a job to have something to do in the afternoons. So I got this ballet job and it's pretty simple. I like it because in all the other jobs that I've done, it's always been multitasking. And with this ballet job, it's just one car at a time. I can't take two cars, I could only take one car. And that's kind of how I see my eBay business. It's just one item at a time. And then I do it quality throughout. And then I'm done. And then I move to the next one. So I don't know. I've been like it, but yeah, no, I hear you. I do want to scale up my eBay. It's just right now with the whole, I have some extra cash sometimes, And but like how I told you that I only go to the thrift store with $20 because I know that I'm gonna find lots of stuff, and I always do find lots of stuff.
Yep.
But having that $20 is just kind of limits me, it caps me. So um and I'm just kind of wanting to go back to doing like, the curb hunting, Facebook and all that, family members. But I was getting like a lot of clothes, and then basically I would only find like 3, 5 pieces, and then I had to kind of redonate it or kind of just put it on my store, and I built my store so much that I had a lot of things that wasn't selling. And now I have like I think it's like a 500 piece store, and it's good stuff, and I'm proud of my store.
I think that you're in a stage where I would definitely recommend at least part-time work. And the 400, 500 items, that's a good chunk of money. I would just try to sell them for even just a few bucks to get that cash flow rolling. And and $20 at the thrift, I don't normally look at it that way, because you should kind of always think of it as your last $20, even if you have more cash flow. But like, typically, if you go to a bunch of thrift stores, there will be one that you come up a lot, and the bill is going to be more than $20.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess it just makes me more intentional. Like since I am doing homework before I go, and then I've been buying, good quality stuff. I try to make it more where I look for the color days, I look for things that I catch them slipping. And I feel even more prouder doing that. And it makes me feel good. Like, okay, once I get everything straightened out as far as my finances, man, I'm gonna kill it. So it kind of gives me that little bit of like integrity in not being able to be like the high seller that I used to be or want to be, where I'm like, oh man, I still got it. I just gotta get over this hump, and then man, I'll be back.
I think that for you, it sounds like you have a few different side hustles and not really a um like an organized career. And my goal for this channel is kind of giving people the blueprint for a reselling career. And that's why I don't like to rely on friends and family stuff or Facebook Marketplace, because it's a little bit too unpredictable. I'd rather have 20 thrift stores I go to, or 20 hours at the bins. Those are predictable. You can get a night. If you go to the bins for 20 hours, you will find things. If you go to 20 thrift stores, you will find things. And that route is more like a job. It made me think, like, I have a clothing processing job right now. That's $20 an hour for people to sort clothing, small, medium, and large, extra large. And there's a lot of lifting. Clothing is insanely heavy. So people are moving thousands of pounds of stuff at work. And I think 700 people applied for this kind of job, where there's no hard skills required, because there's no customers, right? Not talking to anybody. And of the 700 people who applied, the person that I hired had no car and no printer. They came, and I'm not doing this ever again, but I put the address of my shop on there, and I will not do that again. But anyway, this person just showed up and said, look, I need a job. I will work for you for the first day for free. I'll show you that I'm the best candidate for this. I know it's just a simple processing job, but I need this job, and I'm your guy. And I paid him the first day, but he kills it. So motivated, and no car. I don't even know I don't know how he gets to work. Maybe the bus, but like, um, now he's making $160 a day, which is great for him to start. But then he's already like picking up jobs at other places. He's just super motivated to improve his situation. And I just think that he definitely is not in a good situation, but he's trying his best, and that effort goes a long way. Right now, restaurant industry in particular, really, really having a difficult time finding help. For
Yeah.
sure. Restaurants are really crunched. So since you have those skills already, I would definitely start there. I would be surprised if you can't eventually get $20 to $30 an hour at a restaurant.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's one thing, and I don't want it to make it an excuse. But I have a family commitment because it's a family restaurant that my family owns, you know. So
Yeah.
I have to be up at 4 in the morning to go open the restaurant at 5, wait for my mom to get there at 6, and then I'm basically on call all till about 2 p.m. And then at 2 p.m. I go back and then I close the restaurant. So it makes it harder for me to find a morning job. Hence why I liked doing that e-commerce thing because it gave me that flexibility. And then working in the evenings without a car now, I'm trying to get me a e-bike, electric bike, and then trying to make it to work that way. But yeah, yeah, no, definitely, I get you the whole restaurant thing. I might
I
have to
wouldn't
do.
work for my parents either. No way. Hell no. My
Well,
parents had
yeah,
my parents had a restaurant growing up, and that I'd rather work at McDonald's. No offense to my parents, but it's just that's not a job description. If you work for your parents, you do everything. That's not a thing for me. Like that's not, you can't work for your parents' restaurant and then have anything else.
yeah, yeah,
It's too much. It's like way, way beyond the scope of the job. I want to do my job and then work on my side job after. If you work for your parents, you're never off.
yeah, yeah.
I
Well,
can't. I
yeah.
wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I mean that's the
That's like
hard part.
yeah.
I have a big heart, you know. I don't work for my mom. I just say it's a family commitment because I
Yeah.
did spread my wings and leave and get my own job, but I saw how my mom was struggling, so I was like, you know what? I mean, all this isn't really worth it unless I'm happy, and I'm really happy just making sure my mom has that extra help, you know. So it just I don't know. It's hard.
That makes me happy too, but it's not the like the extra help when you need it, that's different than working for them.
Yeah, yeah,
And if you
yeah.
have e-commerce, then you can do a quick run for them and knock it out. And that's the best of both worlds. But maybe that's what happened to me. I did not want to do the family business at all. So it motivated me to do something else.
Yeah, yeah,
Did not want to do it. It's just so like my brother went that route. And I think it made him more of a dependent person. Nothing wrong with that. It's just that he has a much harder time doing independent things because I think he worked there too long.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, and I'm not getting paid. It's kind of like an allowance too.
See,
It's when,
that doesn't work, man. That's hard. That's so hard. I would just work for your parents for free and get a normal job.
yeah, yeah,
No
and then
allowance required.
yeah, that's why I need an evening job, but I still don't want to let go of my eBay. But again, I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm totally
Yeah.
understanding. I remember the last time you told me that I was trying to do all these little side hustles with Poshmark, Mercari, and eBay, and
Yeah.
like you kind of set me straight. So I stopped doing all that. So now I'm just focusing all on eBay, and it's been better. So I don't miss the whole trying to find other fishing ponds.
I tried the all the hustles before, like in 2014. It's like that's 10 years ago. I tried like Uber, Lyft. At the time, there was a company called Sidecar, which I really liked, but that company is gone now. I tried all these different companies, and you know what the result is? The result is $100 to $200 a day. $100 to $200 a day is what so many people can get by on, but it's not a living
Hmm.
because sometimes it's 100 and sometimes it's 200 and sometimes it's zero because you didn't feel like working that day. That's so hard to build any momentum. But even a restaurant job where you're working Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights, and then you work on your eBay hustle to the point where now you're doing 12 a day or 11 a day or 10 a day, then you're making two to $300 a day. There's a huge difference in life, $100 to $200 a day and $200 to $300 a day. So different. Your life is completely different. And that's probably the biggest difference in people's lives between zero and $200 a day and of 200 to 300. After $300 a day, you should be able to at least do most of the things that you want. And $300 a day is 15 listings a day if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're right now at one, but 15 is not so far away that you can't see the the finish line, but like then you're aggressively paying down debt. You have a little extra money, and then you really do have the freedom to take some time off if you want to. And like if something happens, you can afford it. But I like the weekend restaurant job idea. I like because those are the hours you're going to make the most money. When I drove Uber, I only drove before 9 a.m.
Hmm.
That's when people go to the airport. That's when people go to work. You're never waiting. I hated waiting. It's so sitting in your car waiting for a buzz is such a waste of your life. But
Yeah.
if you work before 9 a.m., you're never sitting in your car. You're always driving. And
Yeah.
a seven, there's every restaurant, you're like, hey, do you guys need help when you're busy? What are they going to say? No. I have previous experience as a restaurant owner or restaurant in a family business. Dude, it's so hard. Every single restaurant you go to has help wanted in the window. So hard to get people.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate it, Chris. I'm gonna look into that. Maybe see if I could apply the little restaurant job.
And it's only gonna suck for till your eBay business is going.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's going. It's just I had to scale back, and I'm still at 90. I mean 9,000 for the 90-day average, and I'm selling consistently, but I know I could do better, but it just sucks. But I definitely got to do that
Thank you, Jose.
for sure.
Carissa, do you have a thought? You're unmuted. She's good. Okay.
No, sorry.
You're all good. Yeah, this is interesting. So Debbie quit eBay and switched to Poshmark. That's fine. I think all the platforms work as long as you have good stuff. Focus works. I have heard that a few people over the years say switching to an everything seller made it easier for me. And I'm okay with that if your experience level allows you to list those items in a reasonable time. So I just think that sometimes you can be a niche seller and still screw up by only buying projects. Right? But if you're an everything seller and you don't buy projects, I think it's fine. Debbie, thoughts?
I'd switched to Poshmark because eBay was stressing me so bad.
Mhm.
And I took you inspired me because of the first video did on Poshmark where you bought all the shoes and you
Yep.
made what, like 35,000 just on Poshmark. And I
Yep.
thought, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And because I'm focusing just on Poshmark, um, my sales are back to I'm making sales every day, less stress. I can list much faster because they don't require all the, it's a little different on there, but I feel better. I look forward to listing where I just hated getting up and looking at eBay every morning. So it's done a great deal for my stress level, my life, and I'm back to enjoying reselling.
I love it. I am so grateful for Poshmark. Poshmark pays almost all my bills. I'm looking at right now. This year, I've sold 2,814 items. I've averaged around 15. No, I'm sorry. I average around $25 profit an item. So we are at now around 70,000 profits so far on Poshmark. And it's so nice because Poshmark doesn't have anything that you can look at. There's nothing on there except for listing. On eBay, you can get stuck in the minutia of figuring out promotions, and you can get into a rabbit hole, the listing quality report, which is good. You should know all those things, but on Poshmark, it's just straight. Do you have good items or not? Optimize them, and then that's it. There's no other than sharing. There's no other tools you can do to make it grow. But I'm so grateful for Poshmark. It's like the routine is there. It's set, and I just want everyone here to have a written routine for how they do things. That's my goal for 2025 24 for everybody in the group, everyone having a way that they do things. And right now I'm trying to decide on the accounting bookkeeping setup. And originally I was thinking I wanted to have the listing fiesta on Fridays, have a cup of tea and go over our numbers. But now I'm wondering if you guys want to do it on Wednesday for the past week. So like, for example, today we would be doing all the numbers for last week because some people haven't done their numbers in a long time, maybe months or years. But definitely you could do the numbers for last week. And if you do your numbers for last week, then you can do numbers for last month and you can just keep snowballing that. And I'd like people to reconcile on the first Wednesday of each month, the entire month before, and then everybody will be on track. And I'm gonna call it like a admin time of the week where you guys do your bookkeeping, accounting, reorder your supplies, take a look at your listing quality report. If you're on eBay, if you're on Poshmark, you'll look at your closet insights, get an idea of what's going on once a week. The rest of the week work. That's my goal. I don't want people. I think people spend a lot of time thinking about what they're going to do, but maybe just spend one day a week thinking about what you want to do and the rest of the week doing it. Jamie switched from everything seller to just magazines 6 months ago, and his sales have become more consistent. Shipping and packaging is simplified, and it helped you focus on being an expert. Jamie, do you miss being an everything seller?
No, not at all, Chris. I started with shoes, just
Yeah.
like a ton of people usually do. I love shoes. I found out that I'm a sneakerhead from days old. I remember buying at the sports section my first pair of Jordan 1s. And I thought, sweet, man, I know everything about shoes. I have a ton of shoes. I have a ton of connections. I'm going to sell shoes. I did it for a month. I hated it. I learned that I like shoes as a personal thing for myself, but I hate selling them. I switched to Funkos. Had a little success in that. And then I just started listing stuff. I started watching all the YouTube videos, going to Goodwill, St. Vincent's. I started listing glassware, just all kinds of crazy stuff. The one thing I hated the absolute most about that was having to have 50 different packages. I'd have 20 different sizes of boxes and just all the different mailers. I did that for a little over a year. And then last June, I broke my foot, put my store on vacation mode, and really focused on what I wanted to do. My goal now has went from the original, $20 profit per item to right now my goal is $4 per magazine profit. And I keep track of that on a 90-day scale. So my 90-day right now is $3.78 profit per magazine, which I'm happy with. I would rather do volume. And the thing with magazines is 90% of everything I sell, well, let's say 80%, goes out in a poly mailer. The same size poly mailer, I can fit 3 magazines in. Anything over 3, it goes priority, so it's always $8.30 or $15.50 if it's over 10 magazines. I only have to have 3 different size packages. And now I can spend my time focusing on what drives magazine sales and working on my Google AdSense and my marketing and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm a big proponent of scaling down now that I've learned how my business runs the best as far as my eBay business. I don't think everything seller is the way to go. That's just my 2 cents.
I like what Jamie said, and you can always add on. So I'm going to put this. I ship now in 4 different packages, but I used to just ship in 1. So for Jamie, let's say you start selling magazines and you only sell 1, but then you graduate into selling more than 1. Maybe you sell 3 at a time. So then you'd go from 1 poly mailer to maybe a priority envelope. And then maybe down the road, you figure out a plug on magazine racks. And they can fold flat into a medium flat rate box. I think it's okay to like slowly add on new different ways of things that you know how to do. Cause I now ship small, medium, large, and extra large, but everything I do is poly mailers. And in an extra large poly mailer, I can fit 3 pairs of shoes in a box. So that's pretty much everything. But no tape is so awesome. No tape, Matt.
I just want to ask Jamie a question because I sell a lot of magazines too, and it's a really good um niche. Jamie, do you limit the type of magazine you sell by size to the because of what you ship out? Like an old Rolling Stone, a Life. I'm trying to think of the big trim stuff versus the like standard like magazines within the niche of it have some different sizes. Like, will you not sell certain sizes if they don't fit within the mailers and stuff, or do you how does that work?
Well, yeah, I did kind of run into this. I did a lot of research because I bought 175,000 magazines um, from a company. So like I never have to source. I just go to my warehouse and pick out a couple hundred magazines to list each week, and I list them. Um, the bulk of my business, of those 175,000, almost 120,000 of them were Playboys, ranging from 1973 to 2012. Um, and that's it. In the middle of 87, they changed the magazine size. So anything mid 87 or older, it weighs 1.2 pounds, which is really heavy for a magazine. Um, anything newer only weighs 8 ounces. So it's a huge, it goes from like 444 for shipping for 8 ounces and under in a poly mailer to $6.30 when I get to the 1.2 pounds. And then I ran into a problem. I have a couple thousand cigar aficionado magazines, and those things are huge. They're like 10 by 14. They don't fit in poly mailers. They're expensive to ship. So I keep a now because I still buy large collections, but I keep an eye on the magazine size. So like I'll never sell cigar aficionados again. They're just too much of a pain to ship. And because my model is based on volume, I want the easiest way to ship. Like in the poly mailers, the 10 by 13s, I can fit 3 magazines. Anything over 3 magazines goes into a bubble mailer, a priority bubble mailer for $8.30. Anything over 5 magazines goes in a medium, a priority box, and I can fit 21 magazines, or let's say 20 in a medium-sized priority box. So, and I've never had an order bigger than 20 magazines. So literally I've got it down to just 3 magazines. But yeah, the big thing in magazines is I would make sure everything fits in a 10 by 13. And then the older magazines, even in like hot rods, I have a ton of hot rods too. Somewhere between like 84 to 87 is when magazines started getting the flat spine. So they weren't folded over, they were glue adhesive to like a book binding instead of just stapled. And those older magazines, mid 80s and olders, are like twice as heavy as like 90 and on. So I would keep that in mind. The weight is really the biggest thing in magazines.
Awesome.
Thank you, everyone.